quick archive warning, this fic has bad words, use of slurs, and obviously drugs. Just be aware. Hey friends, it's me, Faye. This is my new kitten, Basil. He's a cream-colored Persian doll face, and he's only 2 months old. And he's the sweetest little baby boy. Today I'm going to be doing a new type of video. Basil, hey, come here. Today we are going to be doing a dramatic read-through of a fanfic I wrote on AO3. And I would like this to become a series where I read out like either my old fanfictions or my new ones, and maybe in the future, if anyone gives me permission to read theirs, I can read theirs too. But right now we'll just stick to mine. He's currently eating the script. Sweet baby. Okay, so let's get into it. So today we are reading one from my AO3 account, Pastel Princess. Hard name. I'll probably link it actually. And then that's how you spell it here. It is a Steddie fanfiction. Steve Harrington x Eddie Munson. So that's what we'll be reading. It's a dramatic read through, and this one is called It's Made for Loving You. This one has 3 chapters right now. You can go read it if you want. Obviously my grammar is not the best. It could be better, but yeah, let's get into it. I have it printed out because my other phone won't start up, so I can't just read it off that. So yeah. It had been months after everything happened with Vecna. Things had temporarily gone back to normal. Everything with Eddie was cleared up and blamed on someone else. Obviously there were still naysayers. Eddie Meowson, get away from the screen. Obviously there were still naysayers who think he's a cult leader, but a lot of Hawkins went back to their normal way of living around the earthquake. Stammage. The kids had all gone back to normal. Eddie was more in love with Elle than ever. He made sure to remind her consistently that he loved her. The Byers-Hopper family had merged and had been working on moving back into Hawkins, which was relatively easy considering many people wanted out of there with the recent curse the town seemed to have. Dustin was doing all right, aside from his mother, who consistently brought up the idea of moving, which he instantly shot down. Lucas and Erica had gotten a little closer due to the events. Lucas said that he was only close with her so she wouldn't snitch, but the group thought otherwise. He checked in on Max a lot. She was glad, too. After the fight with Vecna, her body was very broken up and needed a lot of medical attention, so any time with her friends was like the most entertaining thing in the world. Life seemed to be going pretty well for everyone. Robin was happy now that her and Vicky were getting close. Her and Nancy still hung out a lot. In fact, I know we have to move to the next page. Nancy, Robin, Steve, and Eddie all became a bit of a group, hanging out quite frequently. It was very enjoyable for everyone in their party. When Jonathan was in town, they'd invite him too, but he didn't fit in as well, and just preferred hanging out with Nance or Steve. Steve was pretty happy with the way life was going. He drove home after a tiresome shift at Family Video. He had already dropped Robin off and was playing his music very loudly throughout his car's radio. He sang along to the lyrics, knowing them all by heart. Acting on your best behavior, turn your back on Mother Nature. He sang, belting the lyrics as he approached the house. Everybody wants to rule the world, he shouted to nobody but himself. He went to sing the next lyric before he froze up. What's going on, Basil? What's going on? Why is he freezing? Okay. In his driveway rested a car, a very recognizable car. Shit, 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 he muttered. Don't quote that. Turning off the radio. Sweat ran down his forehead as his face plastered to his parents' car. He slowly parked, running his hands through his hair. From the gay agenda over here. Okay, here we go. running his hands through his hair. At first, after the events with Vecna, Steve was hurt that his parents hadn't checked in on him, but after a week or so, he found it better that way. They never brought a sense of comfort to him, and it gave him more freedom to be with his friends. He stepped out of the car, locking the door and swinging his keys as he fidgeted to keep his mind distracted. He opened the house door, looking around with caution. "Welcome home," his mother called. Called from the living room. Are you trying to rip my blanket up? Okay. "Welcome home," his mother called from the living room, not bothering to look up from her book. "Hey, Mom, I didn't know you were coming home," he played it off. "Well, you know, with the earthquake, your dad wanted to check and make sure everything was still intact with our house," she mentioned, still caught up in her book to face her son. "If they called, they would have known everything was fine," Steve thought, but kept to himself. "We're only going to be here a few days. We'll bring our more valuable items with us when we leave. This town is unstable enough as it is," she mentioned, looking down to her feet. That's where it hit. More valuable stuff? Are you biting the paper? Bless you. Valuable stuff. Nothing about worrying that bless you, that he was hurt. Nothing about getting him out of harm's way. They're items that'll be useless to them when they die. Whatever, he thinks. I'll just take my wife's last name when I get married. Then there will be nothing left of the Harrington family's name after they pass, he thought to himself. It was mainly out of the feelings of anger, though, not an actual plan. Steve went towards the stairs before his father walked, looking at Steve. Steve felt a chill run down his back under the gaze. "What the hell happened to you?" his dad said, cocking a brow. Steve looked a little surprised. He was used to his dad's comments, but that seemed out of nowhere. What did happen to him? He had no clue. "What do you mean?" Steve asked, gulping at a look. He is so cute right now. Oh my gosh. "Your neck. What, did you try and hang yourself and failed?" his dad said, seemingly annoyed. Ever since the incidents with the bat attack, Steve had bright red wrap scars on his neck. They were healing, scarred badly. No, it's not that," Steve said, when his mom finally looked at him. "Good God, Steve, what the hell?" she spat. "Don't lie to me, son. Is this some ploy of yours in hopes of attention?" his dad asked. And Steve tried to get some words in, but everything went by so fast, and his parents kept interrupting him. First you're seen walking the streets with a... Next thing, you're trying to kill yourself? How pathetic are you? His dad's voice began to raise. Blank, he thought. He felt himself turn pale. How did he find out Robin was gay? His mind was doing roller coasters. "Answer me, son," his dad said, sternly grabbing Steve's chin to make him look him in the eye. Pretty fucking pathetic, I guess," Steve spits back. "And what are you talking about?" Steve asks. "That freak, Eddie Munson. He must have you on drugs or something. You're not like this," his dad said. Steve looks utterly surprised. "Freak? What are you, the boys at my old high school? He's not a freak. He's a really cool guy," Steve corrected his father. "He's a Satanist, Stephen," his dad said. Steve hated hearing his full name. Gross, he thought to himself. "No, he's not," he added. "Stop talking back to me, son. Have you lost grip on what I've taught you?" he shouted, grabbing a handful of Steve's hair and pulling his face to look up to his. "Respect. You better learn it or I'll beat your ass," his dad said strictly. "Please, you call a kid who you don't even know and have never met a Satanist. What kind of respect is that?" Steve mimics, wincing from the pain that his dad had from holding him. "God, what are you, some 2 now?" his dad asked, looking down, noticing Steve's appearance. It wasn't much different from when he left. Steve kept his face nicely shaved and his hair well taken care of. The rest of his body was still hairy as ever, and he had some deep scars around his neck and several other scars scattered across his body. Most were hidden from his dad's sight. Val? Basil's nickname is Eddie Mousen. It wasn't much Steve was wearing a light blue sweater with white undershirt and tight jeans. He wore white sneakers, and his middle finger on both hands were painted a dark red. That particularly caught his dad's eye. No, I'm not," he said, trying to fight his way from his dad's grasp. You sure dress like one, and why are your nails painted, he pointed out. Steve remembered going to Robin's house the other night. She wanted to sample a color, and Steve happily let her test it on him. They only did his middle fingers, though, finding it would be a waste to do them all. My friend Robin painted them. I've always liked dressing like this. Maybe you would know if you were around me sometimes, Steve shouted back. His dad breaking free of him, pushing him away as he was tearing up. The fight seemed too much. Crying? What are you, a girl, Steve? If that's the problem, then fine. We'll spend every waking second together. You'll go to work with me tomorrow, and you'll sit at my legs and learn how to be a man. His dad growled a bit at his speech. Steve shook his head. No, I don't want to be like you, he said, and his dad finally snapped. Fine, if you want it that way, maybe you should just leave. You're no son of mine, his dad yells in his face. I don't want to live in this. Oh, anyway, Steve said coldly. That night was hell on earth for Steve. He ran out the door crying after that. He slept in the back of his car with nothing but his wallet and keys. He eventually found a telephone booth where he called Robin, crying on the phone as he relayed the events to her. She agreed to help him move out with his stuff the next day and explain everything to their friends. Eddie? Robin says through the phone. Eddie listens. That's the name. What do I owe the pleasure, Rob? He calls out in his stereotypical cocky voice. It's about Steve, she said, worry lacing her voice, which made Eddie instantly panic. Eddie instantly go into a state of panic. Shit. Harrington better not have died on me. I swear to God, he thought, going to the worst. What's wrong? He said, obviously sounding scared. Him and his dad got into a monstrous fight. He's moving out tomorrow, and he definitely needs help getting his stuff into the car. He also doesn't have a place to stay, and it's so shitty, Robin described as Eddie sighed in relief that he was alive. He listened as Robin described everything. Steve told her about the fight. After a bit, he held the phone away from his ears, covering it. Wayne! Uncle! Psst! He called out. His uncle looked up from the television groaning. Yes, Eddie? He asked. Can my friend Steve crash here for a bit? The dude's dad just kicked him out. He's in shambles. He'll stay in my room, he mentioned. Wayne raised a brow, and Eddie looked at him for a second before realizing what he meant.
You get over here, Eddie Meowson. You need to help with the storytelling, too.
Doesn't look... Oh, hell no, not like that. He's just a friend who's straight. Very straight, he mentioned. He doesn't look very straight, Wayne remarked, taking a sip from his cold beer. But yeah, it's fine, he mentioned, hoping he... Honestly, he would have denied it if he didn't think of young Eddie after he took him in, or was more often to deal with the two of them. Hey, Robin, I know where Steve can stay, he informed the girl who patiently waited on the line. Oh? She said, giving him her full attention. My uncle's place. My uncle said it's fine, he mentioned. And it's chapter done. So, yeah.
You are not helping.
Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Me and Eddie Meowson will do another one, hopefully sometime this upcoming week.
You see yourself in the reflection?
It keeps looking like he's like pawing at the turn off record button. But yeah, thank you for watching.